Yeah, there we go. Right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't done one in a very long time, but this is the return of the Big and Tiny podcast, obviously with me and Vicky. And yeah, it's been a while since we've done one. I've been rather busy or preoccupied. You've been very busy. Um,
Indeed.
so we've just been sort of cracking on with stuff and thought, why not bring it back? Considering everybody's got a podcast these days, why not continue on?
Well, yeah, exactly. And we are, well, we've done a fair few podcasts, haven't we? And they've always been well received by people because of what we talk about. And we have no idea what we talk about. We just kind of wing it, which is what we always do in YouTube videos and gym sessions. And
Yeah, well, I mean, what I get as feedback from a lot of people is obviously it's just different because the majority of people in the bodybuilding space are a certain type of person and they sort of talk about a certain type of thing. And it's usually just, it's sort of the who are hardcore and I guess quite boring
yes,
quite quick.
very,
So, I can see why people want to listen to something else. So, yeah, we're definitely something else.
yes.
Um,
We
yeah,
should call it that, a something else podcast.
yeah, maybe. Anyway, it sort of gets onto the thing we were just talking about before, doesn't it? If things are a bit boring, and I was just saying, we always have a bit of a chat before these things, just to sort of see what we're going to talk about. Never
Mm,
plan.
planned.
But I was just sort of saying, like, it's hard to keep up with the amateur scene at the minute, and I'm as a result finding myself a bit sort of like not as able to be almost involve or just follow it because there's so many shows and there's so many lineups and so many people with opinions about making things maybe a bit more grandiose than they need to be. uh,
Mm,
and that's what I found recently, especially this year, is just there's a show every weekend from
yeah.
like what February or March, and we're into end of June now, and there's a whole back half of the season that's still coming, and it's like, who's actually competing? Because I don't know anymore.
No, it's very difficult. And I think the problem is with the amateur shows is that we're getting more and more new, really good athletes coming through, especially in terms of like the first timer shows and stuff like that. There was the first timers on last weekend. And then there was also the naturals as well. And some of these people who you do see as like a first timer, you just kind of think, holy shit, are they actually a first timer? But of course, again, this can just be down to the amount of years that they've been training, the muscle density that they've got, obviously genetics, because everybody's a fucking genetic freak or you're not. That's one thing that I was actually going to speak about on this one, the genetic elite card, right? So you're either genetically elite or you're not. And if you're not, you can't be a pro bodybuilder. That really grinds my fucking gears.
I did Max's podcast last week or the week before, and we were both there like, oh, you train for 12 years and then somebody calls you genetically elite. It's like, oh, really?
Exactly. There's a lot of things that can be solely focused on genetics. Don't get me wrong, you can have great genetics for bodybuilding, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be genetically elite. I'm going to use my son as an example. Wizzle, and he's 17 now, passed his driving test. By the way,
First time.
first time.
Oh, well done.
I know, swish. Very proud moment there. But he's 17 years old, and when he first saw Alex, he actually met you when you won your Fitex overall with the big sword. Do you remember?
There was no
And
there was no Fitex Pro back then either, so you just got a big overall sword, which is way fucking cooler. It's
it,
still it's in my other room. It's just like it's a 5 foot long sword. It's they don't hand them out anymore, do they? So
Oh, exactly. And to be perfectly honest with you, Alex was the inspiration for Wizzle to obviously get into the gym, because obviously seeing his mum train and obviously being a British champion, all the rest of it, it's all by and by, but it's still your mum. And he doesn't want to aspire to look like me, but obviously seeing you, he was like, well, I want to fucking look like that. Do you know what I mean?
that's the
Um,
first I've heard of that. That's very cool.
yeah, I know. I thought I'd shelve that one for when you needed a little bit of an ego boost. But either which way, he obviously started going to the gym. He started coming with me. I started training him efficiently. He started eating a little bit more. And the thing with Wizzle is that when he was 2, or just before he was 2 years old, he got struck down with meningitis, and it stunted his growth. So because of that, he's actually quite a small human. But then again, so am I.
It just
Uh,
means he's gonna have giant legs.
well, you say this, and he's got giant feet.
So he'll have giant legs, even with all that stability.
His feet are enormous. They literally look like flippers. But either which way, he started to obviously pose a good interest in terms of muscle growth and blah, blah, blah. Started following the wrong kind of people. So Sam Sulek being the first one that he mentioned. And he said, I should be drinking like a gallon of whole milk. I said, first of all, why the hell are you calling it a gallon? We don't do things in gallons over here.
If he said it in how much that actually is, he'd be like, "What? Like, yeah, 5.5 liters of milk a day." I mean, I used to do that, but as a teenager, and not trying to be big. I just liked whole milk.
Exactly right. And many calcium, and calcium is amazing as a mineral, which we'll get onto in another podcast probably. But overall, Wizzle has got really, really good genetics. He's been doing gymnastics since he was like 3 years old. He was part of the British Boys Squad. He's extraordinarily bouncy, so he's got a good pap. You know, he's got a really good vertical jump. All of these kind of things do transpire into good muscle growth.
So he's exceedingly athletic at a young age, is what you're saying. So he's been training since he was a child.
Yes,
So
exactly.
when people are there like, "Oh, you've got great genetics," it's like, no, I've just got a body that's been trained for over a decade already, and you're sat there going, never done a sit up before, being like, "I want to be Mr. Olympia." It's like, it don't
Right.
work like that, mate.
Absolutely. So he has got a big background of athleticism. The issue, obviously, is with him is that he can't eat because he tries and he's just like, I just need to eat, but I really can't. And it's like, well, you can, but you're just eating the wrong kind of food.
It's probably
And
because he's
that's,
trying to drink 6 liters of milk a day.
oh, well, yeah, he could do that as well. But you know what it's like now. Now he's 17, he's got a car, so he's getting a bit lazy, realistically. But one really cool thing happened today, actually. I went into the gym to go and do my session,
Mm.
and mate actually came up to me and proper fanboyed.
Yeah.
I was like, this is hilarious. 17-year-olds now coming up and fanboying over me. This is funny. But his dad was there as well, just saying. But either which way. But this is what I'm saying. So he has got a really good physique, even though he doesn't realistically train that much anymore. He's still got a very good physique and he's got really good, dense muscle bellies. But like you said, he's been training for like 14 years. So he's going to have accumulated that. You can look at any one of the biggest IFBB pro names. And if you have a look at them when they were back, 14, 15, 16 years old, they weren't just like walking around fucking jacked. They had to work hard for that. Josh Malley is a big one. So Josh Malley was, he's obviously the Viking. He's like 6'6" or something along those lines, and 6'6" wide. He's an
I've been
amazing.
trained with him, and you're there like,
Yes, he's rather large, but he's an amazing human. But if you have a look back to when he was 15 years old, he's like a lanky, tall streak of piss.
well,
There
he's a
was
swimmer as well. So, like, it's just you don't want to be super heavy for that sport.
no, absolutely, but he certainly didn't have the kind of dense muscle tissue that the genetic elites would have had.
But swimming, you have to be a nutcase. And
Oh,
once you apply that to other things, then it comes out. So
yeah,
that's why you end up with a lot of muscle and all this other stuff, is because you train hard and you understand what hard training is.
yeah, exactly. And then obviously just adding in some anabolic on top of that helps.
Some.
So, so more not always, more not always. So again, this whole opinion aspect of saying like, oh, he's genetically more gifted than I am. Tough shit, mate. You share the bodybuilding stage with him. So it doesn't particularly matter what genetics you particularly have. If you disagree with the judges based on genetics, that's just the card that you're dealt.
Yeah, I always say this to people who are like, "Oh, well, so and so's got great genetics. What should I even bother?" And it's a bit
Mm,
like saying, "Well, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett exist. Does that mean you're not going to try and earn money?"
well, this is true. Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's
Who's
just one of those, like, you've got to do your own thing, and
yeah.
if you get as far as you get, and I think a lot of people also disregard the fact that building muscle takes a lot of like getting it wrong, learning, and time and dedication, and it's not like those people that have got the better genetics don't also have to do that.
Mm,
And it's going, oh, well, if I had those genetics, then I'd be like that too. It's like, well, maybe, but also maybe not. Like,
mm,
it's people are always looking for an excuse, and there's a lot of pitfalls that you maybe hadn't even thought of. You're viewing it from a maybe a like, oh, well, if I ate, trained, and slept like a monk and didn't go out and didn't have any problems or anything like that, and nothing getting in the way, then I'd look like that too.
yeah.
Like, yeah, but you can make your own issues. Like, you can get in the way of yourself and get in the way of that progress. So, and then other people can too. So
Mm.
it's just like you're assuming that you're going to live in a vacuum as well. And these people have managed to do this with all that other stuff going on and then have dedicated themselves to that pursuit and not let this other stuff breach that. And it's like, well, that
Yeah.
takes many, many years of lots of concentration and self sacrifice, which you probably aren't willing to make, even if you had those genetics, because up here, you might not actually want to do it.
Yeah, that's it. But then you can also have a look at the other side of the coin and just see like the most genetically gifted people ever just walking around. They've got no fucking interest in bodybuilding. They don't want to use those genetics. Ivy is giving her opinion into things as well.
Yes, I can't really hear it because I've got my fan on.
Oh right, well that's fine then. If you can't actually hear it, then that's okay.
My sister's baby is apparently doing lots of piggy impressions at the minute, just lots of snorting.
Oh really? That's funny. Ivy
Oh,
literally.
I became an uncle in the last couple of months.
Yes,
Didn't
exactly.
realise, I didn't know.
Yeah, it is nice. She might have to come and sit on my knee just for a little minute so she can be part of the
She
podcast.
can join the podcast, I'm sure, give an opinion.
It'll be the big, the tiny, and the tiniest.
Yes. God, you're going to watch this back in 20 years and be like, Jesus. Is she
Fine.
okay? Well,
Just giving her a dummy back for a minute. She's fine.
anyway,
She's,
I
yeah,
was going
she's
to say, you're going to look back in 18 to 20 years and be like, goodness, she used to be a baby.
well, yeah, I know. She literally just started giggling today,
Damn.
like actual giggles. It was very funny. How we're going to recreate it, no idea. But you know, she did giggle, so we'll just take it.
But yeah,
But yes,
anyway,
moving
in terms of
on.
the genetic argument and all that sort of stuff, like I do find that that's thrown around more and more in, say, like the amateur circles than it is the pro circles.
Mm,
And the thing is that, oh, when you're a pro, you must be genetically gifted because you're a pro, and it's like not necessarily. Maybe in open these days it's a lot more common, obviously, but high drug usage is also quite common in open. Not to say that if you take a shitload of drugs, you'll end up that big, because most people won't. Again, dedication, time, training intensity, all those other factors. But when you look at like classic, there's plenty of guys in classic that have dog shit genetics. Their structure is not classic, and they're still doing well.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it is one of those where you're there, like, you just have to show up and put the work in and, condition people. Oh, like, you don't really genetic your way to condition.
No, not at all.
There are some people that maybe are mentally predisposed to being okay with being hungry and tired, but that is something that you actually work on as you go through more and more preps and you get more used to it. Like the first prep you ever do, you won't get peeled. You're like, oh God, I'm so hungry. And then by the 10th one you do, you're there like, yep, this is normal.
Exactly, I know, yeah.
So it is, no, I think as well, because you have so many people who are on social media at the minute, but also at the lower level, and they maybe have the time and effort to talk all the time, that the people doing the talking aren't the people who are doing the doing. So
Yeah, I have noticed that a lot as well.
yeah, a lot of the opinions that are shared at the minute are people who haven't done the do. And oh, you're walking off anyway, dear viewers. A lot of the people who maybe are doing a lot of the talking aren't the top end guys, and those top end guys may not have the time or the energy. Here she is.
Yes, it's
Oh,
Titans.
very cute.
Yes.
Um, anyway, I was just saying that like the people at the top, they may not have like the time or the energy to start putting out content about how to do your first show.
Mm.
And so when we're hearing, that sort of stuff from them, it's maybe on the occasional podcast of what they did and someone interviewing about them. But the information that comes from the top doesn't necessarily get filtered down these days.
No.
It's generally held within what those guys did because they're on to the next thing and they're concentrating on them and they need to surround themselves with, take themselves away from the noise because there's too much. Like if Bombstead was doing a Q&A every single week, he just wouldn't be able to leave his house, would he? It's just you just have too many voices and too many chefs spoil the broth. So
Mm.
that's what I see on social media a lot of at the minute. I think a lot of people maybe get wrapped up in that and they constantly question what they're doing. It's like the number of things I see. If you've ever got like a slight niggle and you end up Googling it, and then on your Instagram, the algorithm just appears with like all these different things you need to do for your shoulder or your elbow or whatever it is.
Mm.
And it's like that's too many things. It's
It
like,
are so many things. The
yeah.
same thing comes down to training elements. So I had a conversation with one of my clients the other week because she sent me a reel saying this person with massive glutes is doing this for her glutes. So maybe I should be doing this for my glutes. And I was like, if you have a look at her, she is also 5'11". You are not. You are 5 foot. So her leverages are completely different. Hence the reason why exercise selection for you has to be completely different. And also, not being funny, but she also eats about 4,000 fucking calories a day. You do not. And it's that self-comparison, but also then you start to have that self-doubt kind of creep in, where you start having a look at other people and then thinking, well, they're doing this, should I do that? Drugs is going to be the massive one. You've always been very, very open and honest about your drug use, because we do not push it high. You have had experience with high drug use in the past, and it backfired pretty damn terribly. So we know that for you, systematically, we cannot push high drugs. But you'll see other people and they push very high drugs. You also see those exact same people have horrendous stomach issues before they go onto stage and have more stomach issues post show, which last a very long time.
That's also an interesting point on the high drug use at the minute, because that is something that I've seen a bit of a variation in, but still high drug usage, is the amount of growth hormone that gets used these days
Oh,
and
enormous.
labeled as perfectly normal, because
Mm,
it's just the price of growth hormone has come down loads. If you know where to get it, you can get 100 IU of growth hormone for £45 these days, and that used to cost you 150 quid.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you know the right person or people or group, then you can get it quite cheap. Hence why people are going 10 IU of growth,
Mm.
because that's the medical study dosage of going, that's the minimum amount you need to see physiological changes. And it's like, okay, there's mm.
And you see, study though as well was done on young boys who had a growth hormone deficiency. So we're actually talking about growth hormone deficiency that they are born with. It's not about muscle growth. It's
Well,
about
a lot of
over.
them are actually AIDS papers, and it's like, oh, we didn't see any actual benefit until 18 IU, and bodybuilders don't read that as benefit of stopping muscle wastage from an autoimmune disease.
Yeah,
They view it as, oh, no more muscle wastage. That must mean I'll get bigger muscles.
yeah, exactly. And it honestly, it really does kind of like blow my mind just a little bit because they take these little snippets of studies and go, well, I can use that because I can use that from an anecdotal experience because all I want to do is get stronger, bigger, faster, and probably not faster, bodybuilders don't run. But you
About
see
speed.
but you see where I'm coming from these side of things. People are still thinking that more equals better, where in actual fact, more equals more side effects, and people do not think about that. They think about better, but not actual side effects of death potential.
No, and the whole thing of, oh, I'm the last person to push drugs while they're using 2 grams of gear and then 10 IU of growth hormone a day, and it's like, but that is pushing drug. What's your definition of pushing drugs at this point? Are we just gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater at this point? Like, what is high drugs? Because if
Mm,
you're saying that 2 grams of gear and 10 IU of growth a day is moderate, then where are we?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
What is actually going on, because that's not true, and everybody knows, oh, but it's dependent on the person. No, that's a lot of
Yeah, that's just a lot of drugs. It really is a lot of drugs. I mean, I think the highest amount that I've got one of my clients on at the moment is 2.8, I think, total.
mm.
And that's a lot. That's a big drug stack. And it's not all coming from one anabolic compound. Obviously, I'm not going to go into drug stacks because people will, of course,
Three
just take
grams of test.
3 grams of test, 3,000 milligrams, a split microdosing. It's still a fuck ton of volume.
That's not, you can't even microdose. If you did 2.8 grams of test, that's not microdosing. 700 milligrams. I don't know, how much is that a day? I can't even do maths right now.
No, I can't do
28
math.
divided by 7 is not a reasonable. Is it not? No, of
No,
course it is. It's 4.
yeah, it's four.
Yeah, so you just do 700 milligrams every 4. Oh, God.
Yeah, can you imagine it? It was a pit into the high heaven.
That's 2.5 mil every four
Yeah,
days.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. But you know, obviously, it is within context. So this is a very experienced bodybuilder. He is of a certain age. He does have a lot of muscle. He is an opens bodybuilder, and he is over 300 pounds. So the thing is that he warrants that amount, you know, and we can
Yes.
push the boundaries from him. We do his blood work every 12 weeks because, again, I like to run blood work whilst people are on cycle, depending on how long they are on cycle for. Obviously, if I've got a female only on cycle for 6 weeks, we're not going to take blood work mid-cycle because it's just fucking pointless.
Absolutely.
But either which way, you know, I do like it. If my client can afford it to obviously have those bloods done within their cycle time frame as well, it would be great. I know that bloods are expensive, but bottom line is, mate, if you're going to be putting some shit into your body, you should realistically have all of the backups as well. Supplementation is massively important these days, and especially now that all of these brand new peptides are coming out, all of these brand new fucking acronyms and numbers and everything else that you've got to try and remember. That's the reason why growth hormones come down, you know,
Well,
because
because
peptides are coming
peptide
out.
substitutes.
Yeah, they're using peptide substitutes, and it's really fucking expensive. Peptides now are expensive. A pen of Retta, which is like 40 milligrams of Retta or something along those lines, you'll
200
be
quid.
like 175, I think is the cheapest that I've heard it.
And
But
that's
you know,
what,
that's
40
40
milligrams. People
milligrams.
using 5 milligrams a week. Some
Yeah,
people.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I mean, even if you were to dose it at 1 milligram a week, you're still spending that every single month
That's near
on
enough to
on
£200
peptides.
in 2 months. It's 100. Just call it £100 a month on Retta.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, which is ridiculous. And Retta you use long term, you know,
Mm.
because really the effects of Retta have been seen, or the most beneficial effects of Retta has been seen at week 24. That's 6 months. So before you even see the most beneficial element of Retta, you're going to have to spend just over, well, about 700 quid, aren't you?
Well, you
Between
have to
seven,
also define under what conditions was that considered the best.
yeah, and these were for obese people, obese
You
who
know,
had
not
diabetes.
people who are trying to get lean.
No, exactly. Or even quote unquote quieten the food noise. That pisses me off, that phrase. Don't get me started on it. It really does.
Why not just take antidepressants? They do the same thing.
Yeah, it makes you numb.
Just makes you emotionally numb. Like if you want to not be hungry, just take antidepressants.
Mm,
Like
mm.
that, much easier solution.
Yeah, and you're
Hard to
still
get
going to
hold
get
of.
the negative dopamine effects.
Huh?
You're still going to get the negative dopamine effects that Retta apparently gives you because it dampens down your joy. You don't find joy in anything when you're on Retta. It's
I
because
feel
you're,
like most bodybuilders don't find joy in it.
but you know, people who are there saying, "Oh, I felt completely numb. I fell out of love with my partner." Well, you didn't love your partner very much, then, really, did you? If that was the case, you didn't love your partner that much. People take it
What?
way too out of context, but it's because Retta crosses the blood-brain barrier, and this is what people don't understand. They don't even know what a blood-brain barrier actually is. They're just like, "Oh yeah, I'll take this because it works." Okay, well, have you thought about the psychotic effects? Have you
Well,
thought?
no, because like they wouldn't ever think about like people don't even think about the neural effects of like normal anabolics.
No, exactly. Especially Tren.
Well,
They
yeah,
just like,
because it's massively impactful on your brain.
yeah, hugely, but they don't think about that because they just think more muscle, more strength. So okay,
More
okay, but it's
stupid,
neurotoxic.
yeah, more horny, more stupid, more angry.
Very angry.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I had a friend who started on Tren, and I can always tell when he was on Tren because when he was driving, he used to go, "That guy's just pissed me off." That was his road rage because he was that chilled out. That
Yeah.
was his rage. That guy's a twat. Oh my
Nothing
God.
better than chasing him down the street. You know, it's
I know it is very funny, really. But
yeah.
yeah, people don't understand the neurotoxic effects of drugs because it does have a huge effect on you. I mean, even if you think about people who use recreational drugs, right? Let's talk about the use of cannabis or marijuana. That has massive neurological impact long term. I mean, they can just say, "Oh yeah, I have a toke at night because it chills me out." Okay, so after 15 years of doing that throughout your bodybuilding career because it chills you out, have you thought about how well you're going to remember words? How can you put those words together? You know, there's a lot of people who trip up over their words and they forget about them simply because
Well,
of use.
it's the Alzheimer's aspect, isn't it? Which is, 20, 30 years of marijuana usage. People are like, oh, don't worry, it's safe. It's like, no, it's not. Like it is damaging to your brain, especially if you use it all the time. And like, you see they see the furrows in between the brain separating, don't they? And that is Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are going to start forgetting stuff, and you are going to sleep worse, and all of these other problems are going to start to creep in. So yeah, constantly using substances to cope with life, it's not as good as not using them. I know some people have got their problems, and that's the way they mask it,
Mm.
or deal with it. But like, better to address the root cause, which a lot of people aren't willing to do because it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Root causes, that really does, it makes me laugh so much. So I have a number of people who come to me literally because they do not know the reason as to why they have so many gastric problems, why they have so many digestive issues, and all they're doing is using PPIs or they're using pressors or anything along those lines in order to try and solve an issue. So they're using another drug in order to counteract an effect that they're having from a drug in the first place. So when they come to me and I have a look at their bloods, I have a look at their biofeedback, I look at blood pressure, I look at apnea episodes, all of these kind of things. And I'm like, well, why don't you actually just sort it out from the root cause first? And then you won't need all of these other fucking drugs. It's very plain and simple. But 99% of the time, it's because they're just using too high a drugs. That's all it is. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, people who are pushing 2.5 to 3 gram every week just for the funsies. But all of your problems realistically do stem from too much drugs. I spoke to another client today, face to face, and had a look at his blood markers from last week. He's been running gear for 12 years, 13 years, something like that.
Blood test, yeah.
Never ever had bloods. Never had a blood. And anyway, I've been coaching him for 3 years, and it only just transpired after I had his labs back because he was saying that he was getting apneic episodes, etc., etc. I was like, let's get some bloods, let's see what's going on. It transpires that over the last 3 years that I have been coaching him, when I have told him to be running 200 to 300 milligrams of test off the top of my head, he's been saying, oh, well, I've been pushing 600. And when I've asked him to do a certain amount of his anabolics, whether it be Masteron Prime or whatever it is that I've obviously prescribed him, he's been doubling it.
It does amaze me. It's like you're paying for a coach
Mm,
and you're just gonna not listen, and you just get,
exactly.
but then they expect to have all the results that they think they should get because they're doing more, so it must mean it's better. It's
Mm.
like, no, just because you're doing more doesn't mean you're going to get more out of it,
Well, it's
right?
obviously caused a lot of issues. And when I say a lot of issues, I mean, I'm talking a lot. His blood pressure was like 200 over like 170 or something.
And
Um,
don't know how long it's been like that for.
no, we have no idea.
Yeah,
No idea.
so hypertensive for maybe for
God knows
a
how long.
decade. You never know.
Cholesterol, his cholesterol ratio is 6.5. So that's like, holy shit.
Has he got
Liver
carpet in his arteries?
Basically,
Yeah.
liver completely defunct, kidneys in a bad position. Obviously, like zero kind of HPO access because he'd been taking all of his anabolics, which is fair. But all of these things, and now he's obviously stopping breathing when he's sleeping. So it's like I said to him, the main thing that we need to do with you right now is one, sort that fucking horrendous blood pressure out because that needs to be a number one. So that was the first thing that we hit, and within a week we got it down to 130 over 87. So
So the
magic.
normal tolerance at that point, especially for a bigger chap.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's over 100 kilos. So,
Yeah.
and he's not a tall guy either. He's like 5'6" or something. So he's not a tall guy. But so we managed to sort his blood pressure out. That's something really simple. When people come to me and they're like, oh my God, my blood pressure is this much, I can fix that in a week. Right, it's really piss easy. So that was the first element. Then it was his cholesterol. So he's on a specific meal plan now because he was a fan of counting macros. I'm not really, not when it comes to a health marker aspect, and especially if you don't quite know what you're doing with food, really. It's all well and good, obviously, being family orientated, blah, 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 but we always include those in anyway.
Yeah.
So, to sort out his entire overhaul of that, and he has come down from 111 kilos as his heaviest, and weighed in this morning at just over 102. And this was over a 2 week fix. But, he's still
Hey,
obviously, yeah, two
what?
weeks. We needed to do it fairly, fairly quickly.
Yeah. What was he eating? Nothing.
No, no, he's still on a huge amount of food. He still has 3,500
How
calories,
much
but
inflammation just sat in his body.
a lot of inflammation. And obviously, like I said, the main precursor that we needed to get down for him was his blood pressure. The minute we got his blood pressure down, a lot of water comes off, a lot of inflammation comes off. I mean, that would have realistically been 5 kilos, easy. And then the remainder of it, because you should have seen his stomach. His stomach went, I mean, we've reduced his stomach by 6 inches in 2 weeks. So you can imagine the distension that's going on there. But that's because he's got liver inflammation. So when
Yeah.
your liver is inflamed, your liver does swell, it grows, and we don't like that. So we
Well,
have to fix these things. But a specific meal plan was done for him that does cover all of his bases of minerals, and that's massively important. We had a talk about your diet the other day, and I was like, okay, I want some more calcium going in there because it's extraordinarily anabolic. So we just changed a couple of manipulations and that kind of thing as well. But people, I mean, I've been talking about minerals and vitamin balances and that kind of thing for years. And yet, do you know what? I see bodybuilders put up full days of eating, and mate, they are laughable. It's like all you're doing is putting yourself into a carb coma every time you have a refeed day. But your mineral balance is like shot. You've got no magnesium, you've got no phosphorus, you've got no calcium, fuck all potassium. So it's just like, what do you think these things for?
obviously, when you're there, like you shouldn't just eat chicken and rice.
Yeah.
That's the obvious statement, which doesn't come with the technicalities of why you shouldn't just eat chicken and rice. But guys are like, oh, but it's easy. It works.
Well, it is
They're
easy,
like,
yeah.
is that like, yeah, but you're not going to get any better. Like,
No,
you're not giving
exactly.
your body the nutrients it needs. And if you actually want to grow beyond where you currently are, it needs more fuel. And your fuel isn't just protein, carbs, and fat, even though most people don't eat any fat at all.
No, no,
So,
minimal.
and funnily enough, a load of your minerals come from fat.
Mm.
So it's just like,
But it even comes down to, like I was speaking to you about your diet plan. You are an elite athlete, realistically, okay? You are an experienced athlete at this point. So when it comes to doing things for you, you have to be a little bit more specific. Ratios, from my perspective, for you, do need to be a little bit more bang on. We have to have a good ratio of certain things, like PUFAs to MUFA ratio, right? But I mean, people don't even know that there should be a polyunsaturated to monounsaturated
a
fatty acid.
what?
Exactly. But the ratio needs to be there. The ratio of calcium to magnesium needs to be there. The ratio of sodium potassium needs to be there. Now, if you're just a general kind of like amateur, who wants to climb up to the ranks, or it's your first timer on a stage or something like that, as long as you have sufficient minerals in, you're fine, right? I don't want people listening to this and thinking, well, I don't know what my ratios are, and now I'm scared. It's not about that. We just need to have sufficient elements of your minerals in. But when you do want to obviously come, top two in a pro show, that's when I'm just going to be like, okay, do you know what? These ratios need to be fucking bang on. And I'm
Well,
not
that's it, isn't
hesitating.
it? As it gets harder to do something, you have to get better at doing everything.
Yeah,
And
100%.
because everybody else is, you're seeking the edge. Whereas if it's your first timers show, you're not tip top, and you don't need to worry about those things. And the people that might listen to this could be a bloke in their 30s to 40s. I shouldn't say that, I'm 30 in 2 months. But someone who's normal, who's just like, oh my God, I go to the gym, but I want to get bigger. Oh my God, do I have to think about my magnesium intake? And it's
Mm.
like, no, you
No,
can't even bench 100 kilos for like 12 reps. Yeah, like, like just leave it out. It's not important. But when it comes to like, it's the difference between trying to go from a Vauxhall Corsa to an Audi S3
mm.
versus trying to be a Formula One car. This
Yes.
thing isn't even drivable on the road. This is not practical.
No.
This is top end like technology that goes into the other cars eventually in 10 years time. Like this is taken from NASA. It's completely out of context, so you don't need that. You
No,
just
you don't
don't.
need it just yet.
But yeah, that's the one thing. Try not to impress upon people, and when we do these things, is like I might need something, and it even like oh, you're an elite athlete to me. Even I'm there like really. But then you do have to look and go, oh yeah, actually I need to treat myself like that because
Yeah.
otherwise all these other guys who are in the top 10 of Olympia, as you've got genetics, but then you've also
Mm,
got crazy work ethic and they don't do anything else.
mm.
And it is like that these days. As much as I do preach that people need balance, I'm saying people need balance.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
you want to be best in the world at something, that doesn't exist.
No, no,
Like, you,
exactly.
you
Yeah,
do have to dedicate your life to it because that's what
yeah.
everybody else is going to do. And you have to be thinking about it all the time.
Yeah, you do. And sometimes it can become all consuming. And that's when I like to pull people back, when it does become all consuming. And that's the only thing there. living, breathing, sleeping, thinking about, and it's affecting other aspects of their life because, it's not their full-time job. I mean, let's face it, most advanced athletes, even including like yourself, you don't get paid to bodybuild. You
No,
still have a job,
yeah,
so we obviously ensure that your job and your mentality and your focus towards your job, regardless whether you're in off season or whether in prep, is still there. And we still want you to have a social life. We still want you to enjoy certain outgoings and that kind of thing at the same point. But when it does become all consuming, unless you are in prep, then I'm just going to basically say, okay, let's just basically dial it down a little bit. Let's have a few days off. Let's just go and do this. Let's just go and do that because it can drive you fucking nuts as well. I've been there. I know
yeah.
what it was like. And I'm not a pro, but I will put this as a preface. I never, ever wanted to chase my pro card. It was never something for me that I really wanted to do. And I had loads of people who were saying, oh, you're going to go for your pro card. Go and do your pro card in Two Bros. You'll get your pro card. I'm just like, I'm not interested in it. And plus, Two Bros was many expensive when I was
Well,
on.
as soon as you do get your pro card, now you're entering the pro league, where you have to spend even more money to compete.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's just like realistically, for me personally, when I was actively competing and people were saying go for your pro card, the only reason why they were saying to me go for your pro card was because of the condition that I could get in. I mean, I was more, Sarah Bradley, who went up in that condition the other week.
Yeah,
Fucking gnarly, absolutely amazing condition. One of the best conditions that I've ever seen on a female. It really, really is, and really, she gave men, a run for their money, realistically. So, good on her because her work ethic is
she's been
fucking
doing that for years.
exactly. I mean, it's outstanding. This was the best condition that I've ever seen her bring to stage. And the fullness was there. Everything was absolutely beautifully nailed. So kudos to you, Sarah. But that was what my condition was like. I was dry. I had striations throughout every single muscle fiber in my glutes. And that's the reason why people say go for your pro card because you'll get it purely based on your condition. But I was also an extraordinarily tiny human. I had muscle, of course, but I was very small. At my lightest competing weight, I was 49 kilos.
Mm.
Very small.
And you're
So
5 foot tall, so that's fucking huge.
yes, indeed, I'm very compact. I'm five
Yes,
foot one, actually,
it's close enough.
an inch away from me.
You're more petty than I am about that.
Yes, I am, but hey, it makes a big fucking difference. It separates me from actually being classed as a midget.
No, midget for a woman is like 4'8", isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was 5 foot, 5 foot and under.
No, as a bloke, it's like I think it's 4'10" or 11 as a man.
Oh, okay, so I'm not a midget then. Okay, fine. I'm still not going to have the inch taken away from me. I'm having it. But yeah, so obviously with the whole pro card element of things, one, I was going to be dwarfed by some of the other girls, and even though I would beat them on condition, which is what I did at the PCA, I was surrounded by monsters. They were enormous, but they couldn't get the condition that I did. Hence the reason why I beat them. But so that was one element because I would have had to push many drugs, and I didn't want to because I liked my face and I didn't want to obviously detriment that, so I didn't. And the other aspect was that I would have to put so much more time, effort, dedication into what? Standing on stage for 2 seconds, which I could get a nice little shiny pro card, have to pay to have that pro card, and then have to compete again every 2 years as a bare minimum. Sorry, 3 years, as well as obviously pay the entrance fee to all of the other things in order to compete abroad. And
There's no
realistically,
entry. There's no entry fees as the pro, but there is TAM fee, and there
yes.
is the hotel, and there is the flight, and there is all of your expenses.
Yeah, exactly. So unless you're going to be a sponsored athlete, I was like, I'm going to put myself through all of this, potentially go through a hell of a lot of virilization, which I'm not prepared to do, give up all of my lifestyle and all the rest of it. And at the time, my business was obviously getting a lot bigger and I was getting a lot more recognized because of the health implications that I was putting towards other people and helping them. And it was going to take that away from that. And that was my passion. And it still is my passion because I've got wonderful bodybuilders, got wonderful strongmen and humans that come to me saying, I've done this in terms of my past. I need you to fix me. And I fix them. And that's fucking amazing. But the whole aspect to that is that the pro card for me was not going to enhance my life. It was going to take away from it. So I wasn't going to do that for me personally.
For the majority of people that earn a pro card, it doesn't enhance their lives.
No.
Especially if you can't do anything with it. Like if you're not gonna make money out of it, i.e., you're not gonna place well in shows,
Mm.
or you aren't gonna somehow use it to get more clients, which in and itself these days it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It is just a restriction because once you've got it, you now can't compete outside of the IFBB.
Mm,
So if you're not good enough and you've won that pro card, well, for a lot of people, that's retirement calling because they
mm,
have run out of time. Because
yeah.
it is time, and if you've got a family to look after, and you've got all these like major pressures in your life, then how much time and effort are you able to dedicate to the next level of your physique?
Mm,
So like it is another whole step up. It's another version of starting from the bottom of the amateur rank and pushing through that. So
mm,
if you're, and obviously some people enter the amateur rank very high and they don't have very far to go. Some people enter the pro rank fairly high and don't have very far to go. Whereas
yeah.
if you're someone that enters the pro rank by scraping in there after doing 9 pro qualifiers and you just did enough and you spent all that money because it costs a lot of money to do pro qualifiers as well, then you may have just shot yourself in the foot as a bodybuilder because now you've got 3 years to get good enough to try and spend more money to then get better. So
Mm,
when we talk about, like the pro card is for a lot of people that is like the summit, and that's
yeah.
fantastic, great for you. But I think most people that pursue something, if you're pursuing bodybuilding as the passion that it is, you want to be as good as you can be. And
Mm,
for some people, that ceiling is much lower than others.
yeah.
So winning a pro card, like when you do it, massive high, enormous high. Week later, you're in the bottom of the floor again. If anything, lower because
Yeah.
nobody gives a shit anymore. You're just another pro who's awful.
Well,
You're just a shit pro,
yeah.
you know.
At least you get to put IFBB Pro on your Instagram handle.
Yeah, and it's pretty sad.
It is pretty sad, but you've got it on there. I mean, I'm a Commonwealth bench press champion, so a lot of people don't know about that about me. But I flew to Canada in the most shittest place I've ever been in my life. I flew a very long way to do 3 very heavy lifts for the bench press, and I came back as a Commonwealth bench press champion, which is fantabulous. But I don't put that in my Instagram handle, and nobody really gives a shit because it was that long ago,
I,
and
I think the pro card, the pressure to earn one, a lot of the time comes from other people because they're watching you on Instagram and they want to be part of it and they want you to push further and go harder and do all this, that, and the other, and they want to see progression because it's entertaining.
Yeah, yeah.
And they rarely ever consider the personal aspects of all that and the pressure that it puts people under.
Mm,
And, if you don't want to continue with being crazy strict, you'll get the whole thing of, oh, well, you've lost your motivation, you've lost your discipline. And then if you don't want to push because you don't feel you're ready yet, then someone might say, oh, you're just being a pussy. And
yeah.
it's like, look, you're not in this position. So don't try and impress it upon other people. And I think when you turn pro and you've got like a certain following, people think you've got shitloads of money.
Oh, I know,
Uh,
yeah.
and they assume that like, oh, well, you're a professional now, so you can earn money from this. It's like, okay, first place in a lot of pro shows for classic guys is 2 grand. You will
Mm,
spend that getting to the show, staying there, and your expenses will probably be in the vicinity of 1,500 to £2,000.
mm,
That money's gone.
mm.
So if you manage to win a bigger show in classic, oh, maybe the first place is 10 grand. Maybe even the bigger ones is 25. Okay, now you're against Olympians.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But if you're winning a pro show at a smaller level, you might get if you're against one of those guys, just to say top five, you might
Mm.
get second, third, fourth, fifth, depending on how many are there.
Yeah, yeah.
So are you going to make a living from competing? Rarely,
Mm.
rarely ever, unless there are guys in classic who get salaries from their sponsorships, which is great. But
Yeah.
it's great having the dream, being the young guy, being like, yeah, I want to be a pro. I want to live as a bodybuilder. I want to do nothing else but that. But like, I have to tell a lot of young guys, being like, get a fucking job.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure that you can actually fund that lifestyle as well, especially if you want to be a bodybuilder, because like you just said, there's not a lot of people who do get paid for bodybuilding. You
Well,
know?
the only guy I know in Britain who's classic who does get paid is Niall.
Yes.
How many of you guys out there are Niall?
Not a lot.
Not many. So there's a reason there's only one of him. So like if you're going to do this, pursue it realistically and have a strategy and an understanding of how quick you feel you might do it, because like the pro card, earning the pro card is a big deal, both positively and negatively. If you win it and you go in, okay, now I want to be a really good pro, your mountain is 2, 3 times higher. You know,
Yeah.
you just summited whichever it is, and now you're on to the Himalayas and you're trying to get up the 8,000 meter mountains now, and it's a whole different kettle of fish. You know, you need your oxygen tank and all that sort of stuff, and that's what we say when we're considering these ratios and that sort of stuff, is like the amount of equipment that you need to get that bit higher. You know, that you're into the death zone and shit like that. Like this is the tip top. You don't get here without sacrificing a lot. So
Mm.
you know, but the pro card is it can be incredible if it is all consuming, and getting the pro card was all consuming, and that's your all. Then maybe it's too much to go,
Mm.
because you've burned yourself out. You've done everything you can to get there, but you've spent all your money. You know, you've
Yeah.
pushed all the drugs in the world. You've done the 3 hours of cardio or however much it is a day, and
Mm.
you are like, I don't know if I can do that again.
Mm. Mm.
So, but that's me viewing it quite negatively.
Yeah. Note, I think that we wrap up
Yeah,
because, as per always, I need a wee and I've got mentoring as well.
yeah, of
Always have
course.
to finish a
And I've
podcast.
just got through that, so I'm the same.
Yes, exactly. Fair enough. So
Yeah,
I'll let you sign off because it's your YouTube.
it is my YouTube. All right, we will see you in the next one, which will be when it is. Okay. Bye bye.